You are watching the Voice of Change channel, touching lives through music and message.
Throughout history, there have been countless stories, songs, poems about love. Welcome to the program where love writes the story. Welcome to Love Without End.
Where did it start?
How did it begin?
How did we happen to be?
Where are we heading? When will it all end? This I believe.
This I believe.
I believe I was made by someone who loves me. Someone who loves me. Yes, I believe I was made to give him the glory and to walk in his ways. Yes, I believe that it was for this I was made. When I consider the moon and the stars, the marvelous works of his hand,
Declaring his glory, his power and love. This I believe.
yes, I believe I was made by someone who loves me, someone who loves me. Yes, I believe I was made to give him the glory and to walk in his ways. Yes, I believe that it was for this I was made. I'm not convinced that we're here by chance. God has a purpose. God has a plan. By his grace, by his love, we are sons and daughters of God. I believe I was made by someone who loves me, someone who loves me. Yes, I believe I was made to give him the glory and to walk in his ways. Yes, I believe that it was for this I was made. Yes, I believe that it was for this I was made. Yes, I believe that it was for this I was made.
Where did it start? How did it all begin? How did we happen to be? What is the purpose of this biological life, flesh and blood, the human experience, our consciousness, our feelings, our emotions, our sense of right and wrong, our need for justice and fairness, our drive to live as long as possible and strive to enjoy peace and safety, and then, in a moment, we experience sudden death and destruction? Where did this all come from? What is the meaning of life? Do we have a purpose beyond this uncertainty? No, is the simple answer, belched out from what I would describe as a well-oiled media machine, unrelenting in its quest to provide scientific answers and explanations to these testing questions. Atheistic secularism, with its conflicting and changing theories, offer the idea that our lives amount to nothing really. We're all here by chance, and although this does not sit well with many people, the repetitive drone of these theories via the mainstream media networks supported by sci-fi Hollywood, presented every day at every opportunity by soft-spoken celebrity professors of science and philosophy, supporting their claims with sophisticated computer-generated animations, they achieve their subtle objective, and that is the creation of a media-dependent generation that accepts our worthlessness as a truth, while relying on the gods of human reason, liberty, and freedom. We can become what we want and be whatever we feel to be. Yet the God of self-empowerment is hopelessly powerless when confronted with the certainty of death, the end, no more. Mainstream education teaches as a fact that we evolved over billions of years. Apes are our ancestors. We are told that this journey of life began some 13.5 billion years ago, before there was a notion of space and time. Suddenly there was a big bang emanating from a random spot in an environment that they call nothing. A single point no bigger than a golf ball. Fast track 4.5 billion years ago, the ancient solar system was formed. The Earth finds itself orbiting around the Sun with the Moon at precisely the right distance away to enable an environment that supports evolving life. 3.5 billion years ago, life begins in a soup of amino acids, proteins, and bits of RNA, and with the help of a few jolts of electricity from a primitive weather system, and voila, we have life. And today, we have no purpose and have no more right to exist than any other animal on the planet. We simply must accept that we live and die through the infamous circle of life. But when forced to examine the detail of these theories in regards to our humble beginnings, we will find that these proclaimed truths fail to actually answer the questions of our origins and fail the test of evidence-based truth that real science and logic demands. The expansion of the universe, for example. The universe should be slowing down based upon the Big Bang Theory, but it is not. The universe continues to expand by the power of an unknown force called dark energy, which means we do not know what it is. However, the biblical narrative describes God as stretching out the heavens, Isaiah 42 verse 5, and this stretching out is exactly what we observe. When we turn our telescopes towards the expanse of the cosmos, it has been determined that we only see 6% of the matter that should be visible. 94% of all that's out there seems to be invisible. They call it dark matter. Psalm 19, the heavens declare the glory of God, comes to mind. As evolved creatures, there should be billions of pieces of fossil evidence recording the incremental steps of evolved life, thus proving our evolutionary journey. But there is none. On the other hand, if the story of the biblical flood, for example, were true, you should find the fossil evidence of billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth. And guess what? That's exactly what you see in the fossil record. Billions of dead things buried in rock layer laid down by water all over the earth. The ozone layer, the Earth's magnetic field, evidence of protection, evidence of shielding. Why? God so loved the world. The mathematical precision of the moving cosmos makes the trajectory of space travel predictable and possible. And we all associate maths with the presence of intellect, and therefore consciousness. Paul Dirac, famous for his mathematical prediction of the existence of antimatter, once said, "God made beautiful mathematics in creating the world." And then there is the information that we find digitally downloaded into our DNA. Information had to come from somewhere. So my question is, What if there is a solution to the tragedy of being born? What if we were designed and made and created by someone who cares? What if we have a purpose? What if there is hope? What if there is a solution to the problem of death outside of superstition and human rationality? What if that solution is available to every single human being alive today? What if we were made by someone who loves us and that someone has an incredible plan to rescue us? What if?
Some time ago, I was in a serious car accident. The car was a complete write-off. A lorry had crashed into me on the driver's side, but I came out unscathed. I had no cuts, no bruises. I believe that I was protected by someone who loves me.
The song of this, I believe, came to me one morning when I was doing one of my favourite activities, washing the dishes. That's why I can truly claim to write clean music. But whilst my hands were in that warm, soapy water, a melody came into my head out of the blue. I believe I was made by someone who loves me, someone who loves me. The someone who loves me, when it originally came to me, did come twice, because that idea of being created, my capacity to be able to love someone else, I'm not satisfied that that comes from a rock or from dust. It's got to have its root in something, somewhere, which itself has the capacity to love. That's how it's passed on to me. I was made to relate, to connect with a someone who loves, someone who epitomizes love, someone who defines love. As you heard Doriel, our singer and choir leader, share her story, and she concluded that there's someone out there who loves her to the extent that he would protect her in a car accident, you might have been sitting there thinking, oh, it all sounds wonderful, but what about all those people who that very same day had car accidents and didn't get out alive or didn't get out unscathed? You might also ask the question, well, if somebody out there is looking after you, how in the world did you get into an accident in the first place? And we all have our worldviews and our thoughts and ideas and opinions as to what it really means to be here in this world. What is the purpose of life? Where do we find meaning? Is there really some power out there looking after us? And if so, why do innocent people die? And why do sometimes people who are not so innocent end up living long lives? So we ask these questions, and I don't endeavour to give you immediate answers in this song. We begin this song, like I began the first song, Love Without End, by just posing questions that we are all asking. Where did it start? A question from another angle, new melody. How did it begin? Another question in your mind coming from another angle, a new melody. How did we happen to be? Another question. Where are we heading? New question. When will it all end? Those are the questions. What are the answers? Well, we recognize the fact that people have different conclusions and different worldviews, but we're sharing here the gospel, the good news, the story of a love without end. So we can only share what we believe, and we have conviction in our belief. We have reason to believe our belief has foundation, and that is painted by the fact that the line which says, "This I believe, this I believe," is all one note. The idea is that we have a sense of foundation, of no change. We are convicted in this particular belief. And then it goes into the chorus, "I believe I was made by someone who loves me, someone who loves you." In the middle of the song, we have this sort of reflection moment, this sitting back in your chair thinking, you know what, I'm not convinced. So it changes key. I'm not convinced, but what are we not convinced about? We're not convinced that we're here by chance. That we're here by chance. God has a purpose. God has a plan. And then the end of that section says that we are all sons and daughters of God. Sons and daughters of God. And I love that idea that we are part of a family. That when we think about God, our Creator, there is not just something or someone who's absent, but there can be connection, there can be relationship, there can be love. And this love He pours out so freely on us, His children. And that's why at the end of the song we have this conviction. Yes, I believe that it was for this I was made. We believe we're made to have connection, relationship. And then it says it again. Yes, I believe. And then that conviction gets even deeper. Yes, I believe. And it's precisely because we've experienced this love, this connection, while we feel that it's not chance, that we have a purpose, we're here for a reason, we can have relationship. And this I believe.
What if we were made by someone who loves us, and that someone has an incredible plan to rescue us? What if?
Where did it start?
How did it begin?
How did we happen to be?
Where are we heading? When will it all end? This I believe.
This I believe.
I believe I was made by someone who loves me. Someone who loves me. Yes, I believe I was made to give Him the glory and to walk in His ways. Yes, I believe that it was for this I was made. When I consider the moon and the stars, the marvelous works of His hand,
Declaring His glory, His power and love. This I believe.
yes, I believe I was made by someone who loves me, someone who loves me. Yes, I believe I was made to give Him the glory and to walk in His ways. Yes, I believe that it was for this I was made.
In the next episode of Love Without End.
The story could have ended so well. But deception has been the greatest challenge to man's joy and happiness. Don't stand in the cold of despair and fear and doubt.
Please join us again.
And to find out how to get the recording of all of the songs in this series, visit croydonseagospelchoir.co.uk.